Mm-mm. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I need some I don't know, mood music to set off these series because I feel like I need to come in like the news, like dun, 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 dun. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, let's get into it, y'all. If you guys have ever laid awake wondering if bankruptcy is your only option, or you already filed and you're thinking, did I just ruin my whole life? This live is for you. Maybe you've dodged calls for months, tried payment plans, debt consolidation, even tried credit repair, and nothing stuck. You're standing at the edge of financial collapse thinking, I don't know how I got here, but I also definitely don't know how to get out. This live is for you. Here's what you need to know. Bankruptcy isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that you failed. It's proof something happened, but it's not proof that you failed. It's a legal tool, a reset button that exists because sometimes life happens faster than your paycheck can keep up. But it's also not a magic eraser. It's something to be taken seriously. It won't fix the habits that got you there. It won't teach budgeting. It won't teach boundaries or wealth building. Okay, so we're not going to take this casually, but we're also not going to have shame around it. If you don't understand what you're filing, why, and what's next, you could end up right back where you started 5 years from now. And that's why we're here tonight. Okay, that's why we're here. So welcome to session 2 of the Unfuckwittable Credit series. Okay. Session 2. If y'all are excited, if y'all are ready, double tap the screen. Let me know that you're excited. Let me know that you're ready to learn. Double tap the screen. Let me know that you're ready to learn. Okay. Tonight we are tackling the word most folks are too scared to say out loud: bankruptcy. What it is, when it actually makes sense, and how to rebuild your life and credit after the collapse. I've got Coach Talisha Chonece with me. The woman who's been in the trenches with families who've had to file Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 in the past, and probably everything in between. She is a powerhouse. She walks people through what to expect in court and help them rebuild and seeing what really works. Now, I'm going to tell y'all more about her because she knows I love to brag on my friends, okay? But before I do that, some of y'all are new to the room and you are thinking, ma'am, but first, who the hell are you? Okay? So I'm going to tell you who little old me is. I am Betty Lewis. I am an accredited financial counselor and ADHD money coach. Some of y'all know me as B, the budgeting baddie. I am the founder of Young, Rich, and Rooted, the host of the Root Work podcast, the creator of this Unfuckwittable series, where we talk to industry experts to help you feel more confident in taking your next step and improving your financial health. I am on a mission to help gifted Black women with ADHD, women who have experienced trauma, depression, anxiety, or just overwhelmed by lifing. I want to help them love themselves back to wealth. I want to build a community of women who have the audacity to want more choices in life and shift from feeling financially frustrated to feeling financially unfuckwittable. If that sounds like you, put some hearts in the comments. Put some hearts in the comments. If it sounds like you, yes. I'm ready to shift, okay? This is my season. I'm ready to shift, okay? I want you to follow me so that you can continue on this journey of financial unfuckwittability. And I want you to give yourself a round of applause because you could be anywhere tonight. Most of y'all just got off of work. Y'all clocked out of that man's dream and you clocked back into yours, and I'm proud of you. Y'all could be anywhere, but you're on this live. Give yourself a round of applause. Welcome to the Budgeting Baddie community. If you were here Monday night, as I bring her to the stage, if you were here Monday, right, you already know that you need to grab your notebook. because she is going to be dropping some gems at rapid fire. So while I give you a second to find your pens and your notebook and tell us what your pens and your notebook, I want you to tell me where you're watching from tonight. But listen, I don't want you to tell me just the city. I want you to tell me what they call the city you're from, where you're from. Okay, I'm gonna go first. I'm from P-Funk. I want to try to guess where y'all from based on where y'all tell me y'all from. Where you from? Rep your city. Rep your city. Where you from? Where you from, Coach T? What they call your city back home?
DeVille or Cashville.
Cashville. Oh, I want to be from Cashville. I want to be from Cashville. Okay, somebody said 615. 615.
Period.
Where is that?
Where's
615 at? Cashville. Oh, is that Cashville? 615? Okay. Where y'all at? Tell us where y'all from. Okay, my hometown is P-Funk, also known as the Queen City.
Queen City.
Hey, Chi-Town in the house. Okay. Chi-Town. Some of the best popcorn I ever had was in Chicago. Okay. Ooh. Where y'all from? Tell us where you're from. Queen City in the building. Tell me, are you Queen City, Plainfield, New Jersey, or are you Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina? Because I learned that Charlotte also calls themselves the Queen City too. Which Queen City are you? Are you repping New Jersey or North Carolina? Plainfield. Hey. Okay, she from my hometown. She from my hometown. I love it. I love to see it. All right. Love to see it. Okay, who's here from Monday night? If y'all were here Monday night, type a 1 in the comment. If you were here Monday night, you were like, baby, I ain't missing no part of this series. Okay, I'm back. Type a 1 in the comment. Hey, okay. If this is your first time in the series, type a 2. Okay, you missed day 1, but you like, I'm gonna go watch the replay. I'm here. Day 2. If this is your first time in this credit repair series. We got some 1s, some 2s. Okay. Well, welcome in day 2. I appreciate you coming in. Listen, the replay is gonna be up for a week. So when this leaves, go click the link on my big bio, go find my YouTube page and go watch day 1, because I'm telling you, it's good. It's so good. I don't even know how we managed to cram that into a 40-minute conversation. Okay, it's good. Okay, so welcome in. We're gonna get started, y'all. Like I said, I don't just bring anybody to the table. I like to bring the heavy hitters. And Coach Talisha Chonece, she checks every box, okay? She is a board certified credit consultant. She is a Forbes, yes, that Forbes for culture honoree. She is the CEO of Luxury Legacy Consulting and High Class Hustle Academy. She is your closing table coach and has helped over 500 families become homeowners. She has trained some of the best credit repair pros in the game. My credit repair pro trains your credit repair pro, okay? But what I love most about her is that she doesn't just fix credit scores. She helps help people rebuild their confidence, their strategy, and their legacy. And she does it all with so much heart. So Talisha, welcome back, sis.
Hey. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me again. And thank your community for allowing me to share you. Just another day.
Just another day. Anybody got ADHD, and when people say something like, you just gotta break out
something that goes
like, it's just, you can't help yourself. Okay. All right, Talisha, I want to get into it because we got a lot to talk about, like 50 minutes to knock it out. So
okay,
I want to start with about the basics, because a lot of people hear the word bankruptcy. And actually, before I even go there, I want to reset the room, because y'all, I talk about mental health and money, and this is a triggering conversation. For some of you guys are really in this place right now, and it's scary to even just listen, because you're afraid she's going to say something that's going to be like a worst case. I want y'all to do what I did last Monday night. I want you to take a deep breath. Okay, why do I do that? Because you don't make good financial decisions when you're anxious. So you got to calm your nervous system, okay? We want to make sure that we're making sound financial decisions. Your brain can't receive new information when you're nervous, when you're anxious, when you're scared, okay? So make that a regular practice. When you feel overwhelmed, to give yourself a beat, calm your nervous system a little bit as best you can, however you can, and then get into it. So Talisha,
Yes,
back
yes.
to the basics.
Back to the basics. Do
As
it.
I was saying, I think a lot of people hear the word bankruptcy and they immediately think like, my life is over. I am never going to own a home or get a loan or recover, or it's going to take me 10 years before I can ever buy something and have something in my name again. But that's not true, is it? Like,
No.
what I want you to explain to the audience, what is bankruptcy in plain language, and why does it even exist as an option in the first place?
Well, bankruptcy, it's consider it like a legal reset, right? For people who are overwhelmed with their debt. It doesn't mean that you failed at anything, but simply that you have to have a financial reset because maybe your income is less than what debt you have. And most of the time, this is for unsecured debt. So the system, they created it so individuals and businesses could actually have a second chance instead of sitting and drowning in that financial distress forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the space to try to reorganize and recognize where you are so that you can actually start over.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I thought about like why they might even put this in place. The reality is like the government needs you to be stable. They kind of thrive off of your financial lack of literacy, but they also still need you to be relatively stable because if you don't have money, you don't buy, and they still need you to be consumers. And so sometimes they feel like it's worth to take the L and let you reset to get you back in the game so that you can keep the economy moving. But I want to talk about two types of bankruptcy because a lot of times people hear bankruptcy and they only hear one thing. They only think about it in one way. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's chapter 7 and there's chapter 13. And I want you to break this down for the people in the back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So can you explain and as best you can the distinction between chapter 7 and chapter 13?
Absolutely. So think of chapter 7 as a clean slate. So it's going to wipe out most of your unsecured debt for things like credit cards, medical bills, stuff like that, right? You don't make payments afterwards, but you're going to sometimes you have to surrender those assets that are not they're not covered or protected by exemptions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have open loans or things like that, you have to be okay with giving that back, right? Chapter 13 is a little bit different. So that one is more of a repayment plan. So instead of wiping everything, it's going to allow you to reorganize and make structured payments over 3 to 5 years. So that's most of the time ideal for people who have steady income and they have more assets than they do unsecured debt. So you may have a home, you may have one or two auto loans, and those are assets that you don't want to lose. You would consider chapter 13.
Okay. So you got something to give up. You don't got nothing that you got to really give back. You like, take it away. What you going to do? Take my clothes back? But if you got assets that you want to hold on to, you might be considering chapter 13. I like the way you broke that down. And the way my ADHD brain, I always try to make things ADHD friendly and make a picture out of a concept. And so when I think about chapter 7 and chapter 13, the way I think about it is chapter 7 is like the 7-year-old. Okay.
Okay.
Follow me here. Okay. 7-year-olds, they're child. They toddlers, right? They well, not toddlers. That might be a bit. They little, right? They really don't know better. So they're like, you know what? You made a mess. You ain't really know better. So they wipe the slate completely clean. We're gonna give you a whole do-over because you was little. I don't even know why I even gave you credit. Okay, you little. Chapter 13, I like to think of as like a teenager, right? You not full grown, obviously, or you be paying all the bill. Like so you. However, you old enough to know right from wrong. So we're not going to take away all. We're going to make sure you have some of the responsibility. And so you have a structured payment plan because you're a teenager. So you got to take on still some of this.
Responsibility.
Right? You're a little older, a little more mature. That's the way I got to be able to remember it in my brain because we got chapter 11, chapter 7, chapter 3. Does my little picture,
It was perfect, literally. And I'm gonna start using that because it does help, like you said, when you're 7, the responsibility is a little different than when you're 13. And as you were saying it, I was thinking about my boys, 7, 13, right? And it's the same. One has more responsibility than the other. So that's funny.
Ooh, I'm about to start calling your babies chapter 7, chapter 13.
They're
Okay.
like, huh?
Where that come from? Okay. Um, so how does somebody know which they should file, like, or if they even qualify? And I'm curious how bad filing bankruptcy in general, regardless of the type, has on your credit.
So starting out, I'll start with the how it impacts your credit first, and then I'll talk a little bit about how and how do you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
With when it comes to your credit, it's going to lower your score for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those debts that's going to lower your score by it could be 100 to 150 points, depending on the foundation of your score. That's going to automatically scare. So, like Coach B said, take a breath. Don't
Mm-hmm.
panic. Yes, your score is going to drop. Just like it has the ability to drop, it has the ability to increase it as well. Okay. Finish your bankruptcy out. It's going to drop your score, but over time, you can start to rebuild your credit one. And then the older an account gets, the less impact that it has on your score. Okay. Most of the time for chapter sevens, that bankruptcy is on your credit for 10 years. Chapter 13 is on your credit for 7.
Oh, you know what? Even the timeline,
Mhm.
like 10 years for chapter 7. Think about again the 7-year-old. The 7-year-old, they're saying you need more time to mature before we'll give you another. You gotta go 10, you gotta go 10 years. You're too young. Chapter 13, they're like, you took on some of the responsibility. So we'll let you go a shorter amount of time if you have to pay it because you took on some of the responsibility before it.
Exactly.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
Makes
I
sense.
wanted to know that because a lot of times people think that if they file bankruptcy, they're trapped forever and they're gonna have to wait longer. And I've seen people be able to buy a house 2 years after they file bankruptcy.
Literally. And you have to ask questions. A lot of people panic because of that. But there are actually now, is it always recommended? No, especially if you haven't had time to rebuild. And let's just sit there for a second to understand why that is. Because you get afraid because you have 2 years to rebuild your credit, or you have 2 years of your discharge date before you can purchase. Are there some lenders out there that will lend to you at 1 year? Yes. Do I recommend doing so depending on what you've learned during your time of bankruptcy? No, right? Because 2 years gives you time to build relationships. 2 years give you time to ensure what behaviors you have to change, similar to like how we talked about credit repair, right? It gives you time to figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, build rapport, build relationships, and then purchase. So now you've actually rebuilt your credit. You don't want to rush into it. You want to take the time so that you make the right decision this time, if that makes sense.
It does. You know what? I feel like if you watch any of my lives, I'm always finding some way to make the connection between money and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of like bankruptcy, like a divorce. If you met a man who was like, I just got divorced, like, are you trying to marry him tomorrow? Are
Oh,
you trying to like, are you like, have you healed?
you're
That's
asking
what
questions.
these credit card companies like, you might want to do some healing first before I let
Have
you
you
approve
figured it
you.
out?
Yeah. Do you know why it went wrong in the first place? Because I'm not trying to be somebody you experiment with again.
Literally. And that's exactly how you have to look at it. And a lot of times we look at it in fear if you think about it realistically, think about that same thing, like you said, with a friend, right? If you haven't healed from this situation, you can't go getting into another one, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you haven't created a habit, it's the same with walking. I'm not going to put a 2-year-old on the track team. Why? Because they just learned how to walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Oh, it's good. This is good to y'all. Tell me it's good in the comments. It's good in the comments. This is good. I see some. That was a good picture. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Coach T. Hey, Shawtown. Okay. We're gonna keep going. Um, I feel like just like with divorce, most people don't wake up and say, you know what? I'm gonna file bankruptcy today. right? They usually tried a bunch of other things first,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're confused about what's what. I hear people say things like, should I try debt consolidation or debt settlement? I get that question a lot. What about those debt relief companies that say, if I stop paying my creditors and pay them instead, I'll negotiate everything down? Um,
Mm-hmm.
is this the same as a debt management plan? And honestly, a lot of people get scammed or make things worse because they don't understand the difference. So, Talisha, if you can clear things up, can you break down the difference between debt consolidation, debt settlement, debt management plans, and what are the red flags that people need to watch out for with those debt relief companies that promise to fix everything if you just stop paying your bills and start paying them instead? Because it, to me, is an option that will tank your credit score and increase your risk of lawsuit, in my opinion, in my observation. But Fred,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell me?
So yes, I sure can. Okay, so I'll start with debt consolidation. When you think about debt consolidation, you're thinking about how it combines multiple debts into one payment. So that's usually through a personal loan or a transfer of that debt to from bank to bank, right?
Mhm.
So this is normally when you say, "Hey, I want to find a different interest and I want to be able to pay it to where it makes sense. I'm not paying so many different higher interest rates. I can maybe get a better interest rate putting it all together." That's what you think about when you think about debt consolidation. Now, when you're thinking about debt settlement, that's negotiating with creditors to pay less, right? But your credit can take a hit for that. So this is what you were talking about, right?
Mhm.
Where they negotiate to make a half of that payment versus the whole payment, but it still has to report to your creditors late because it has not reported a full payment. So these are questions that you actually want to ask, what does this look like when I start making these payments? What does that do for my credit? A lot of times people are just trying to prevent being sued, that they don't ask those questions, and that's how they get in those situations, right? And then debt management plans are normally they're run by credit counseling companies, and you pay them, and then they pay your creditors while trying to lower those interest rates. Now, if I'm being honest, right? This sometimes it's a conversation when it comes to debt management plans. They help you pay a low rate, pay your creditors, to assist you with what that looks like. Well, excuse me, assist you with your payments. What am I going to pay that makes sense for my pocket or for my budget? And they'll help you navigate all of those different payments. Okay. Now, red flags, like you said, the first one is we can wipe everything within 24 hours. Just pay this amount.
Mhm.
Stop paying your creditors,
Mhm.
or they give you a crazy fee up front.
Mhm.
Because think about it, if you're needing debt consolidation, debt management, paying thousands of dollars up front, you could put that towards your debt, right? So
Right.
these are the things that you want to focus on and pay attention. Debt consolidation, when you think about debt management and counseling companies, you want to ensure that they are willing to give you that education piece, because programs are supposed to be there to help you. If they're not giving you that management piece or that education piece so that you understand what's happening, and they're pushing you into a contract or they're pushing you into payment, or don't even want to give legal paperwork, because a lot of times they'll say, hey, just make a payment and we got you, without contract. So now there's no legal obligation, to the services rendered. Pay attention to all of that. You
Mhm.
got to be able to ask questions. If you can't ask questions, it's probably not the right company for you.
Those are some of the biggest red flags that I've observed is the pushiness where you feel like you're in a car salesman's place and they're like, you got to make this decision today. If you don't make this decision today, then we're not going to be able to offer. Anytime you're being pressured like that, that's a red
Mhm.
flag. I've seen some of these companies move from being like, we're trying to be helpful to when it seems like you're backing away and saying, I need to think about this, to them getting like mean, like, well, what are you going to do? Like bullying you the way credit collections companies can be sometimes. To me,
Mhm.
like those are huge red flags. They are
Absolutely.
not, no, it's a no and a no.
And here's why. You all have to understand that these are companies that are put in place to help you. Think about the small business owners. If you needed assistance with your credit, and I'm mean and I'm nasty, right? Would you really want me to help you with your credit?
Mhm.
Think about that with debt consolidation companies. If they're if in all of them, to be honest, if you don't feel supported, it's probably not the right thing for you. This is your personal information. These are your finances.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. You're technically interviewing them for your business because it's not a free service, right?
Correct.
So if it feels pushy, if it gives you a place where you feel like you're starting to feel that anxiety and it's getting uncomfortable, it's probably time to find another company to support you.
I love that you position it as like you're interviewing them because you're right. They are making money off of you. And a lot of the services that they're offering, they're not things you can't do for yourself. Like you can not pay your bill. Like if you haven't paid your credit card in 9 months, you are already in a position to negotiate a
Mhm.
payoff balance. That's all they're doing. They're saying don't pay it so that way you've gone so long without paying it. Now we have the ability to call them out, and then they're feeling like the companies are going to be more willing to work with them because they're creating a relationship with them. But
Mhm.
you can do that yourself, and they're going to, believe me, tack on their fee on top of it. But if you had settled it yourself, more of that money would have been able to stay in your pocket. So if anybody is bullying you, that's a red flag. This is, as I started this conversation saying, this type of financial situation is already nerve wracking to begin with. You're already feeling really anxious. You're already feeling like I made a mistake.
Mhm.
People struggle to take action. They find themselves in a situation because they felt so anxious all along that they ignored phone calls, that they didn't check mail, that they didn't return, they didn't turn in stuff on time. Right, their nervous system was shut down. That's probably why they avoid doing a lot of the steps that they could have taken to avoid the
Mhm.
situation. Imagine already feeling that way and then calling or talking to a um, credit debt management company, and they're making you feel even more anxious.
Right.
You're going to shut down, and you're probably not going to honor their repayment plan, which is going to put you in another debt situation. Okay, so
And it makes it a trickle effect.
exactly, exactly. So I feel like most people, when they hear bankruptcy,
Mhm.
it like they see it as giving up, and I do get that. I do understand that feeling, but sometimes it is the smartest move. What signs tell you that it's time to seriously consider bankruptcy as a strategy and not as failure? Because I know you look at people's credit reports and you look at the debt all the time, and so at what point are you looking at it like, okay, what kind of questions are you asking to help them navigate that decision?
One, if your bills have and your unsecured debt has become so overwhelming to where it has put you so far behind on your bills. Your the bills, like the necessities, your rents, your mortgage payments, your utilities. When it gets to that point, that's the first thing, right? Also, once if you've realized that there is no plan that you can create realistically with the amount, say for instance you're being garnished from more than one company, or and you still have to pay your current bills. These are things that you have to look at and you have to think about, right?
Mm.
Not necessarily always starting out with what all is on my credit, but you have to match that with your finances. I do want to say this because I want to make sure that this is important, because one of the things that happen in our community is we get to a position where a lot of these things, credit, bankruptcy, it's scary, right? It's a conversation that we don't want to have. Bankruptcy is public record, right? It's something that a lot of people will tell you, I had to do it to start over. Think about some of the millionaires that's what they needed because they may have started early. A lot, you don't feel bad about starting working on your credit fresh out of high school. We know when we get those credit card offers,
Predatory.
and they say, hey, I'll buy you a meal. I just want you to come to this meeting, right? And now we
Mhm.
have all this credit card debt. You may not be able to catch up on that. And if that's something that you can't do, let me say this. after you've created a plan, that's when you may want to consider bankruptcy.
Okay.
Don't look at it like it's failure or that it's something that is going to make you look bad. And a lot of people get the fear of shame because, or what are people going to think? This is something between you and your finances.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be publicly broadcast to the world. So if it's something that you need to do for a financial reset, then ensure that you are meeting with a counselor and a bankruptcy attorney that will answer all of your questions to ensure if it makes sense for you. Now, they do have different assessments that you'll have to take to see that you qualify. It may be, and it's dependent on your state. It may be due to your income. It could be what assets you actually have. If it's IRS debt or things like that, the IRS debt is that's not covered. Student loans, things like that are not covered. So those are different accounts that they will look into to see if you actually qualify for bankruptcy.
Good. You got ahead of me right there because I was wanted to talk about like when is it not the answer? Because I know there are people watching who are thinking that it's going to solve everything, but it won't fix certain things. So, to your point, a lot of times when people say, "Well, I'm just going to file bankruptcy to get rid of this particular type of debt," and that's not covered in bankruptcy, child support. Being one of those things where they think, okay, I'm gonna get rid of it, it's gonna all be gone, but then they still got student loans, they still got tax debt, they still got child support debt, and that was the majority of their debt to begin with. And so what they only bankrupt was like a $2,000 credit card. They thought they were getting rid of $100,000 worth of debt because 80,000 of it was their student loans, and only a little bit of it was consumer debt that they could actually file bankruptcy on. So I think thinking about like what does your debt consist of in the first place,
writing that out and actually seeing if your income, if changing a behavior could pay this debt off, meaning that I may have to do a couple of extra no spend Septembers in order to pay these off, right? Then do that. It's not, bankruptcy is not required, but if it's something where it's overage and it's overwhelming to the point that it's more than what your yearly salary is, it may be time to consider.
Okay. So, guys, if this is helping you guys, put a 3 in the comments. If this is helping y'all already, put a 3 in the comments. If this is helping y'all already. If you know somebody who is at risk for bankruptcy, been asking questions, is thinking about it, or you've been thinking about it, or you thought about it, or you went through it already and you still don't know how you navigated through it, you still trying to recover, put a 3 in the comments so that we know that this is helping y'all out. If you guys have questions, you know what I say. Closed mouths don't eat crab legs, baby. And we always want crack crabs, okay? Ask your questions in the comments because I want to make sure that your questions get answered too. If you have questions, okay? And the questions ideally pertain to the theme of the conversation, which is bankruptcy and credit score. But baby, if you got questions from last night that you just thought about tonight, while she's here, go ahead and drop them in the comments because even if she don't answer them online, she will spin the block on this comment section, okay? All right. Fair, 3. We got some 3s. I see some 3s, yes, so it's helping y'all. I like it. I see y'all on TikTok land. I see y'all on YouTube land. I see y'all on Facebook land. I see y'all. Okay. All right. So while they're thinking of their questions, because I know y'all better be thinking of questions. Okay. All right. Let's say someone decides to file.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next? Do they need a lawyer? Can they file solo? And quick disclaimer. Okay. Be clear. My content is never legal advice, never financial advice, never medical advice, never something else advice. Okay? You need to hire your own attorney, your own CPA, your own tax advisor. Okay? This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Okay? Let me be super clear. I am not a lawyer, nor do I desire to be. But our proximity to the problem allows us to be able to see. So in your observation, what do you feel like needs to occur?
So I would recommend meeting with a bankruptcy attorney, right? You guys will sit down, have a meeting, go over what it is that you actually have as debt, right? They'll ask you, it's kind of like an interview, not an interrogation, an interview,
Mhm.
right? They're going to ask you questions to get to know a little bit more about your situation. Let me tell you one thing. And you may say, Coach T, I don't understand why you're saying that, but you wouldn't believe the need for me to say this. Be honest with your bankruptcy attorney. Don't skip over these debts because you feel bad. This is not the time to do that. You have to remember every debt that you can think of down to when you can think of it, even the ones that may not be on your credit. Okay.
I was just gonna say the
You know,
ones you do not think of. You owe your landscaper
put it in there.
because they could come for your house.
And also this goes back into what I talked about a little bit in our last session, keeping these pieces of mail. We get them, we get nervous, and we throw them away. When you go and sit with your bankruptcy attorney, they're going to give you a package so that you can bring back some of the debt and the communication that you've received. You're going to need that. Okay. So keep those things. I know it gives us anxiety seeing this big stack of papers that people telling us that we owe, but keep it in case this is a direction that you have to go. Once you've done that, they're going to, of course, look at your credit to see what other debt that you have, right? And then you'll come back and have another conversation. Since COVID, as far as court, you go through the court process. I'm not sure what that looks like, but then you will go through the bankruptcy process. Mm-hmm. After that, once your bankruptcy is dismissed, it's time to start rebuilding.
Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure you're talking to a bankruptcy attorney who is licensed to practice in your state because
absolutely
those laws do matter. Guys, if you guys feel overwhelmed by paper mail, I want to pause and say this because most of the time people find themselves in debt, and when they're feeling anxious, they tend to avoid the mail in particular. I've had clients say they haven't checked their mailbox in months, and part of like the coaching conversation is, have you checked your mail today? Let's go check it and let's do this together. They need that emotional support to be able to just do this task because they're dreading what they're going to find there. I would encourage you guys, if you guys have never been to one of my paper parties, I do a paper party every quarter. Come to the paper party. You would be surprised how helpful co-working is and making you move the needle when you have this resistance to a task, because a stack of mail is scary. It is overwhelming. I have been there. I needed us emotional support system to be able to look at my mail, even though I know what to do on paper. When you're triggered like that, it is hard to take emotion. I'm telling you, do it. And you can take that stack of mail and turn it into a list that's so you can put that mail away and stop being triggered by the sight of it. Turn it into a list. Okay. I just wanted to throw that part in there because sometimes just the idea of that pile getting bigger and bigger can make it harder and harder to take action. That's one easy thing that you can do to be able to calm your nervous system and make it easier for you to tackle it and have that information with you when you need to, and be way more organized when you go to sit down with your attorney because you have this list of debts already with contact information, with account numbers, with balances. Okay.
I gotta say, I loved it. I actually attended the last one, and when I say, even for me as a credit coach, I really need it, right? Because I have to get mail from my business and then mail from my personal, mail from the kids, and that can, especially when you're busy, it can pile up, not just because of your of the anxiety of being in debt, but simply because you're a mom, because you're a wife, because you're a business owner, because you have a 9 to 5 in this time, right? You may forget and miss some things, and I didn't realize, the fun part is finding checks in a lot of these different
and did where my and did
yes,
found a $2,000 check at the last party. Mommy said it says she attended the last paper party as well. It was great. Thank you for coming. I'm glad that it was good for you. Yes. So yeah, you really cannot understate how something as is seemingly trivial as a pile of papers, how that could affect a lot of what's going on with your money. A lot of what's going on. This is why I say, like, my work is in making nervous system safe money management, because I understand that most people's problem with money is not really a math problem. It's not really about how much income is coming in. It may not even be about how much you're spending. It might be how you might just literally be in state of paralysis and just simply not addressing. Because when I was going through depression, a lot of the issues financial issues I ended up having was because I was in such paralysis. I had the money in the bank account. I literally just was not paying the bill because I couldn't think, I couldn't function. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to check my mail. I didn't want to return a phone call. Like that level of depression, life's at you. It don't matter if you know what to do with money. It don't matter if you have the money in your account, and you'll find yourself in a situation where you're potentially having to file bankruptcy because you didn't know how to adjust to life as a human being. We got some questions in the comments. One of them, Anita, she says, any recommendations on building up your credit score? Friend, you need to come in on tomorrow. That's a good question. And we definitely are going to be talking about that on tomorrow's live, okay? Because we're talking about credit health tomorrow, credit confidence tomorrow, using credit like a boss on tomorrow. So yes, I love your question. We definitely going to talk about that tomorrow. Jamie said, how do you start rebuilding if you're on bankruptcy and can't get credit while in bankruptcy? Okay, you getting ahead of me, friend. I like your question, because we're gonna be talking about post bankruptcy. I like your question. Okay, Jamie, we coming for you. We coming. I like your question. Okay. I'm gonna spin the block on that one. Let me see. Does TikTok land have any questions over here? It's a little harder for me to navigate over here.
I don't see.
If y'all ask a question, ask it again for me so it can come to the bottom of my feed. My phone a little far from me. I appreciate you. If you didn't, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna check it out. Okay. So let's say we know they need an attorney, but I want to talk about the rest of the team, because I always tell my clients, you can't rebuild wealth alone. You need a financial power team. So if someone's filing bankruptcy, who should be on their team besides their lawyer? A credit repair pro, a financial coach, a therapist? Who do they need in their corner to make sure that they don't just survive this, that they come out stronger?
I'm glad you asked me that, and I'm glad you gave examples so that I could explain that too. One, of course, a financial advisor would be a smart step to make, a smart decision to move. You don't really necessarily need a CPA unless you're like in a situation with your Chapter 13 where you have assets that you need to ensure that you cover, you have income, things of that nature. That's when you may need a CPA. But when you think about credit repair specialists, you don't necessarily need a credit repair specialist, but you need a credit counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you help explain the distinction between a credit repair specialist and a credit counselor?
Absolutely. So a credit repair specialist, if they only focus directly on the repair, there is nothing that they can do while you're in bankruptcy, because you have open accounts. You can't say, hey, I want to file bankruptcy for these debts, but I need you to validate they're actually not mine. Right? Those are the things you look at. A credit repair specialist is going to repair the negative. Normally, if you're looking to hire a credit repair specialist, it's because you're looking to see if potentially the bankruptcy that's reported to your credit can be removed from your credit, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. Or to identify errors such as a company actually notating that this account is included in bankruptcy. Small things like that can help accounts that may not have been updated correctly. But while you're in bankruptcy, you need someone that can help you with telling you how to build your credit after bankruptcy, what that looks like, what's the best options, and help strategize what it is that you have goals to do. Because if you're coming out of bankruptcy, you want to buy a home, you got a couple of different goals that you have to set in order to get there. So a credit counselor is going to help guide you versus sending out dispute letters to repair those particular negative items from your credit.
Oh, that's such a good distinction, because a lot of times you hear financial professionals, and we talked about this because I'm going to be in your community later in the month, about how people oftentimes use our professions interchangeably, like financial advisors and financial coaches. We do two completely different things with your money, and credit repair, credit counselor, different skill sets.
Right.
both of them are absolutely important in your financial picture, but they do different things. And so it is important for you to begin to like understand, increase your vocabulary on the different financial professionals you need, learn who you need on your financial power team. And I believe you don't want to wait until you're in that situation to know who you need to know. That's why I love that y'all are sitting on here now. Cause some of y'all are like, I'm sitting on this live, but I'm not, you know, like maybe last live made more sense for you because you're not near bankruptcy, but you just got some stuff on your credit you wanted to know how to fix. But you never know when you might need something. I hope none of you ever need to experience bankruptcy and this live never becomes relevant for you. But if you ever do, you don't want to be in that moment. Now, like, I need to find a credit. Like, you're in crisis mode trying to find a financial professional. That's how you end up finding credit repair scammers. That's how you end up finding somebody who don't know what they're doing because you're so desperate that you'll go with anybody. You want to find your person while you're calm, while you're clear, while you're thinking about it, right? While it's not a major issue yet. It's like trying to find an estate attorney after somebody's death. You're grieving. Trying to make funeral arrangements during grief. The funeral company is going to take advantage of you because you're grieving. So you want to find your people and start building your financial power team now. So you already know me, financial coach. You already know Talisha. Would you consider yourself more of a credit counselor, or credit repair? Uh-oh. Did she freeze up on us? Y'all, can y'all still hear her? Is it just me? Is she frozen for you?
There we go.
There way, she's back. Okay. The interview busy. Okay. I was asking, would you consider yourself more of a credit repair counselor or credit repair specialist?
I'm more of a counselor that offers the service because I intertwine both in the services that I offer. Not only do I perform the repair to help you navigate those different negative items, but I also counsel you as far as best decisions, credit building, creating those plans, whether it's the budget management and things of that nature to help you continue that after your credit repair services. So I'm a credit counselor that offers for credit repair services.
Awesome. Okay. So now I want to talk about what nobody really talks about. Something that keeps people up at night. And I feel like I've echoed this a couple of times in this live, but I really want to talk about is the shame. Is bankruptcy feels like you're admitting defeat in public. You got to go to court. You've got to disclose everything. It's public record. The creditors get notified. You probably at this point have probably been receiving phone calls illegally. If you was on Monday's call, illegally at your job, you probably be getting phone calls, and your family members have probably been getting phone calls about your debt situation. And so the whole thing, before you even get to this price, is humiliating. It can feel humiliating. Mm-hmm. How do you help clients emotionally prepare for this part of the process? Because the legal filing part is one thing, but the emotional part, that's a whole different battle.
It is. And one of the things that I do is I remind them, this does not define you. It refines you. So it's going to help you get back on track, right? We talk a lot about release and redirection because you have to let go of the thought that I failed, right? Mm-hmm. And redirect your mind to say, I'm starting over. Because a lot of times we say, I'm giving up. No. Ooh. Told us that we had to live in struggle, strain, or any of that, right? No one told us we had to do that. We make that decision because of what we want to see. We focus a lot of this, y'all, on what other people are going to think. This is not their life. And that's what I have to remind my clients. This is not their life. This is your life. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what they have to say, how they feel about it, it's not for their validation. The only person you asking for validation of is the credit bureaus and the collection agencies, right? Nobody else. And I'm just being honest. You're not losing. You're learning what you need to do in order to not do this again. It's one thing to do it once. Now, if you got to keep doing it, you might feel a little bit bad, and I understand that to a capacity, right? But if it's your first time and you're redirecting yourself, there's no reason to have shame in that. Yes, it's public record. Yes, you filed. And to be honest, yes, you may have to go to court, but guess what? Most of the people in that courtroom are coming for the same thing. So just think of it like that. And honestly, there are even sometimes now, this is something a lot of people don't know. And let me not give you this gem for as a, hey, I'm telling everybody to file bankruptcy. No, that's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of attorneys now, ever since COVID, things have changed, right? A lot of times you don't have to show up. And if you show up, it's through Zoom. So you're not standing there in front of a judge like years ago. They kept that for certain cases in certain states. So a lot of the things that we're fearing, it's
I'm gonna see my coworkers in the courtroom. That was literally the conversation I had with the client who reached out to me about the court summons before. It's like when you have a prestigious profession and you're like, people revere me here, and this, if I walk into court, I'm worried about that. I'm afraid that it'll mess up my professional reputation if some rando sees me in the courthouse and they now like they were a patient of mine or some sort of something, right? They're worried about that. And I didn't even think about the idea that Zoom takes away that conflict, is that you're not having to necessarily see everybody.
Right. And you know, I do want to say this, you know, there are a lot of millionaires right now that had to start over. And they vowed that with that restart, they were never getting back to that place again. Don't put yourself in a position to focus so much on the thought of everybody else, but what's going to be better for you. Because think about it like this, and you're going to be like, okay, you're right. It does sound crazy. Imagine you telling yourself, I'm going to continue to struggle in this and be drowning in my debt because I don't want my perception to someone else to change. This is your truth. This is what you have to do to make things easier or lighten the load. It's okay. And I think making sure that I bring that back to you all so you're not putting yourself in a bad position, you know, because of that fear. I wanted to sit there for a second to let you all know that.
You know, I love a good visual, okay? Because you just gave me a visual, a literal visual. I imagined somebody drowning. Like imagine yourself in this pool or right. And that is like somebody putting water in this thing, right? And you didn't know that you should learn how to swim. So you were in here letting people pour water in there the whole time. And you in there, and now the water is rising and you're drowning and there is a way out, but you're like, no, I got myself into this. I should suffer through. I should just risk literally dying rather than ask somebody who's like, hey, we can reset. You look like you struggling out there. Would you like the life vest? Would you like us to plug the water and let you start over? Right? The thing is, you got to stay in this pool and water will still keep coming in. The commitment you have to make to yourself is, I am determined that before this water gets here, I am going to learn how to swim. I am going to learn what I need to learn, that I'm never vulnerable in this situation again. Are you going to file bankruptcy and then just be like, all right, I'm good, and then hop back in with no vest, no water, no skills yet? You're going to find yourself right back in that situation drowning. Or are you going to be like, I'm going to find somebody who know how to swim and help and ask them to teach me how? I'm going to understand why I'm afraid of swimming in water in the first place, because that situation traumatized me. It changed my nervous system and I need to learn something new. Am I going to work on myself so that if, God forbid, I have to take on debt, I can manage that well?
Right.
I love that. I love that because that's literally like you saying, I'm choosing. Oh, I should. How would you? Right? We don't want to take it casually, because what if it's like back to visuals, like Super Mario Brothers, where you get like so many men, so many lives. You used up your last life. You play it to like stop wasting up, because they will look at it and be like, you filed bankruptcy just because you can file again 10 years later, or doesn't mean that the judge is going to approve the discharge.
Yeah. And It's a little more frequently than 10 years. It's removed from your credit in 10 years. But because people have made the decision to do that, which is why I brought that up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they act just
People
like
are
we
taking
talked about.
advantage of it
And
and
like
doing
we
what they.
talked about in the last session, things are
That's why
always
student loans
changing
can't
because of
be.
that.
That's why student loans can't be bankrupted, because back in the day, people used
Mhm.
to just, I'm gonna take out student loans, knowing at every intention on
Filing
getting that
bankruptcy.
refund check and then filing bankruptcy to get rid of it. And it was like, not no more. And now nobody can get it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why they have it set up that way now. At first, they didn't have a time frame between when you file bankruptcy again. They've even changed that now because of the frequency. People would get discharged from bankruptcy, run the debt up again, and file again within 90 days. So they've had to change that to ensure that you're actually going to make the right financial decisions.
Mm.
They're like, nope, you're going to have to sit an hour.
Guys, if this has been helpful to y'all, I know I don't have a selfish community. I know I don't. I know you ain't been sitting in this live and consuming it for yourself and then didn't share it with another friend, didn't share it with your feed, didn't share it with your cousin, your sister, your auntie, and them who been asking about their credit, who you know they may not have said nothing about financial stress, but you could sense it. You know how you could sense financial stress. I don't, maybe it's just me because I'm in the financial world. I could smell financial stress a mile away. But you was, I know my community not being selfish right now. I know y'all not. I know y'all not. You hit share, right? Tell me you hit share in the comments. I hit share in the comments. Tell me I shared it. 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 I'm not being selfish right now. I'm a good budget bestie because we don't do that over here. Also, talk back to us. I know y'all here because I see the count. I know who in the room, okay? So I know you here. Talk to us, okay? We want to hear from you. All right, we talk back. It's not a two-way conversation. Which way
Come
we
on
go?
now.
My camera. It's not a two-way conversation. Okay? Bankruptcy, the ultimate answer. Listen, we're not trying to paint this picture. But first, let me the because the goal isn't to say let's run to bankruptcy. We're saying that take this, like it's like saying divorce is like the always jump straight to divorce. No. Do what
Right.
you can to maintain your marriage, because the effects of bankruptcy, they are job, try to get a government job. They're going to ask you if you've ever, they're going to ask you if you filed bankruptcy in the last 10 years. They're going to ask you if you've ever
Ever.
filed bankruptcy. Okay. So it's not something to take lightly. It's just something we don't want you to be afraid of if needed. We don't want you to drown. Okay. All right.
Don't not do your research. That's what we want to share. That's what we want you to understand. If this is something, because a lot of times, just like when we're coming up with credit, a lot of times they tell us, don't get a credit card because it's not good for you. Don't get a credit card because it's not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you realize how a credit card can benefit you and how it can help you start to create generational wealth and things of that nature, then it changes your outlook on it. It's the
Which
same
we're going to
way.
tell y'all about tomorrow.
It's the same way with bankruptcy. Not to say, hey, run to it, do it. That's your first option, but don't be afraid to do your research. If it's something that you think you might need, don't sit in it.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, y'all. If this is helping y'all out, let us know in the chat. Listen, double tap the screen, show her some love. Follow her if you're not already following her right now. Why not? Why not? Why? If you're not following me, you really wrong.
Why not? Why not?
Why not? I'm clearly plugged, okay, into the right people. All right. All right. So bankruptcy is one of those topics where people suffer in silence. Okay. This is the reason why I'm doing this live. I hear y'all quiet in the comments. Y'all quiet. Y'all hear, y'all watching. I see y'all, but y'all quiet. And I know why. Talking about money is scary. It's intimidating. You don't want to know your business. You don't even want to hint at the fact that there's financial struggle. It's one of these things that people suffer in silence. And unfortunately, some people suffer to the detriment of their whole life, meaning that they give up on living, being alive, because they are so grieved and they feel so alone in this. Okay. I need us to normalize these conversations, normalize it so that more people will seek help. The more people that we help break the cycle just simply by talking about it, the healthier generations of families will be, the healthier our community as a whole, as Black people, if we feel more comfortable expressing what's going on with us and what we need. It gets easier. Some people have found themselves in crippling debt simply because they couldn't tell somebody they were struggling. And they were like, hey, are you coming on my birthday cruise? Are you XYZ? And they don't know how to have that conversation because it's uncomfortable and it's awkward. You said, no, I'm cooking. Give me a moment. I'll tap in. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Been following Coach T, and now you, Coach B, loving the info. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Talisha, let's talk about what happens after you file. And this goes back to Jamie's question. Was it Jamie's question? Yes, I think it was Jamie's. Let's go back. I'm gonna put her question on the line, but I'm gonna ask it my way, and hopefully it answers your question, Jamie. If it doesn't, let me know if I need to clarify, right? Because again, the paperwork is one step. How soon can someone start rebuilding their credit? And what's the safest way to do it without falling back in an old trap? Like, I imagine like that immediate discharge, they're getting flooded with credit card offers because now your credit is scratched. So companies are starting to flood you again. Okay. So can we talk about like what's happening right after you get that successfully discharged?
So yes, you will be bombarded. But being that you're new and fresh into rebuilding your credit, I'm gonna throw some gems at you all. So I'm gonna need y'all to help me a little bit. Name some of the subscriptions that you currently have, like your Netflix, your Hulu, Apple Music. What are some of the subscriptions that you love and that you use on a daily that you pay monthly?
You got that, guys? Put in the comments for us. What subscriptions are you currently using right now? Netflix, Hulu, iTunes, YouTube Plus. Is that YouTube Plus? What is it called? YouTube.
I think, yep.
What's your subscriptions? Put them in the chat for us. And while I wait for y'all to put those in the chat, I do see a little bit of clarification. So it's like, I think Jamie's question is actually even a step before this.
Okay.
She's asking how to start rebuilding on your bankruptcy if you can't get credit while you're in it. So I'm thinking she's meaning before it's discharged, like while you're in the process of it. Can you explain both stages?
Absolutely. So while you're in it, nothing. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't touch anything. Nothing. Okay. Because you just started your bankruptcy. Give it time. This is one of the things where we don't rush it, right? Slow and steady wins the race. So while you're in bankruptcy, allow the bankruptcy to finish. Because a lot of companies may not lend to you with an active open bankruptcy. It may have to be discharged. Okay. You risk applying for multiple accounts, trying to find someone who will lend to you, doing it that way than just waiting. So while you're in bankruptcy, don't apply for anything.
Also, I think the judge is going to look at you like you're crazy. You trying to ask him to approve discharging debt while actively trying to acquire new debt. So you are trying to make him feel like, I can't handle this. Can you please take this away? And you just apply for something. He may throw away your whole case.
And they actively tell you not to apply for anything while you're in bankruptcy, while it's active, as far as new accounts, things of that nature. Okay.
That answered your question. She said, okay, gotcha. Okay, great.
Perfect.
Great. Okay. So y'all telling me about you said she said the streaming services. She got Netflix, Stars, any other streaming services? How many you want to? How many you looking for?
Okay, Netflix, Stars. I wanted somebody to tell me. I know they'll come up. So what I recommend to anybody who is fresh out of bankruptcy, because a lot of companies may not lend to you, like I was saying before, right? When you're fresh out of bankruptcy, I'm going to teach you the easiest way to start building your credit. And it's with something that you already use. How many of y'all would actually benefit if those monthly subscriptions, because let's be honest, these companies are going to take their money whether we have it or not, right? Especially Apple. They're going to run it. They're going to pull it.
Especially Apple.
Right. If you're going to have to sit with Coach B and tell her all these monthly subscriptions that you have, you're going to have to tell her why it's benefiting you versus not, because you're like, hey, we can save here. Let's talk about it, right? There's 2 apps that you can look into. Ava, which is AVA.
Somebody put that in the comments for us. AVA.
AVA. And then you have Grow Credit. My community knows that I love talking about those two apps because these are apps that report to your credit like virtual credit cards. Even if you have somebody that may be new in credit, they can use these apps, right? What it does is it adds a credit card to your credit profile, and then it starts to build your credit. But this virtual credit card that they give you is going to pay for your subscriptions and then report those payments to your credit. A great way to start building your credit right after. Do that for 90 days or so. And then depending on where your credit stands, you may be ready to apply for, your own personal credit card that'll actually be a credit card. But one thing that I love about these apps is they don't send you a physical card. So you remember how we talked about in the beginning, rebuilding your credit and taking your time, that 2 years, these companies don't give you a card. And because they don't give you a card, it doesn't impact you going out and running up your credit card balance and getting back in the same situation again. So those are two apps that I stand behind when it comes to trying to rebuild, because it starts to help you create a habit, right?
Mm-hmm. You paying that bill anyway. You guys put those in the chat. We said ABA was one, Ava, and the other one was Grow Credit. Somebody put that in the chat so I can put that on screen and make sure that you guys can see who that is. Put that in the chat for me. I appreciate you. Those are good tips. Send me the link for the chat. Send me the link for that. Send which link you talking about, Billy? What link you talking about? Hello, cousin. Hello. Family in the chats. I appreciate my loved ones. They pull up. Grow Credit. Thank you so much, Jamie, for putting that in there. All right. Okay. Could someone really buy a house after bankruptcy? I know that they can, but I guess what I'm asking is how soon? How long does it take, and what milestones do lenders want to see checked off first?
Okay. Some lenders,
getting a credit card is one thing.
Buying a house is a total different. Well, with most lenders, it's 2 years, 24 months. That gives you the ability, one, because you're figuring it out the first year, right? And then they also want to see 1 full year of positive payment history on the current accounts that you have. That lets them know that you got it, right? Because now we're creating a habit. If you can do it for 24 months, you can do it for 24 years, right? If that's how long your mortgage is. There are some lenders out there that have programs that will approve you in 12 months. You have to ask, but you will see most lenders that will want 12 months of positive payment history on the current accounts that you have. No late payments, no recent late payments, no outstanding debt. They're going to really check their debt to income ratio. And then they're going to ensure that your discharge date, 2 years from discharge, not 2 years from when you started the bankruptcy, but when it was discharged is where they'll start the calculations.
So their credit score, I heard you say, I think earlier, that they can lose 100 points or so. They're not necessarily going to the baseline, which is what, like 450, or I can't remember what they're starting, 300, right? Okay. They're not going to 300. Like if they were at, I don't know how you have an 800 and you filed. We know all the possibilities. I'm like, but it's possible, right? In that scenario, if their credit score was high and for whatever reason they're filing bankruptcy, right? Versus their credit score already being in the 500s and they're filing bankruptcy, what's the sub? Are they going back to the baseline, or is it that their score is dropping a set or a reasonable amount of points based on where they were?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm gonna have to explain one thing to everybody for you to understand that part, right? Because when I say 100 to 200 points, that's determined based upon your credit profile. And when you're thinking about your credit profile, it's not necessarily the number, but more so the report and the substance, the meat and the potatoes of the meal, not necessarily the condiments, right? So when you think about it, you think about the 5 components of the credit score. I'm going to throw this at y'all real quick. The 5 components is your payment history, utilization, length of credit, types of credit, and new credit, right? 35% of your credit score is your payment history. So when you're thinking about a bankruptcy is going to show and impact your payment history. One, by the time you're filing bankruptcy, you probably got a couple of late payments, right? Your payment history is impacted. If you think about it being a public record, it's a signal that this account has not been paid, or that there are accounts that have not been paid, which resulted in bankruptcy. That's the 35% of your credit score. So when you think about bankruptcy, that's going to impact that 35%. It's up to 297.5 points, right? So think of it, instead of my score was 500 or my score was 7, and think of it as how much positive did you have reporting when you had to file bankruptcy. For example, did you have an active credit card account that was reporting positive and everything else is what you were having issues with? Did you have no positive debt at all? What did that look like? And that'll determine, because it has to balance itself out. So you'll see someone with their score decrease a lot more if they don't have anything positive reporting, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Billy, you said, I have a question. What's the best credit card to have? And is Credit Karma the accurate app? Well, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, Billy. You coming back tomorrow? Y'all trying to get ahead of us. I like the questions. Put them in here. Keep asking them, though, because I want to make sure that if the questions fall into the theme of that night, that we make sure that we ask those specific questions. So, yes. We're going to talk about what credit cards. I can't wait for tomorrow, okay? I'm taking y'all on a journey, okay? The credit was really bad, but it wasn't that bad, but it was like, it's scary. And so what do we do to not be in this situation? Tonight, we in this situation. This is like the worst of it. And then we're like, okay, whether we fixed it or it's terrible and we had to reset it, now we in the happy place or a healthier place. How do we build it up? So that's what tomorrow we're going to wrap this up in a nice little clean, higher button when it comes to credit. So I hope y'all coming back tomorrow. I love that question, Billy. And it'll replay be available. For some reason y'all not available, but I know you're gonna clock out of your job at 5 and clock back into this live. Okay, clock out at 5, clock into the live. Okay. Woo! We about to wrap up real quick. Let me see. Before I give my final thought of the day, and I feel like you gave a lot of like hopeful gems, but I don't know if there's any more hope that you would like to give, because again, bankruptcy can feel like the end for a lot of people. And it's actually, to me, the beginning of their comeback story. So can you help me give somebody the courage to take a step tonight? For the person that's watching right now, that's in the middle of crisis. Maybe they just filed, they're scared, they might have to. What's one thing that you want them to know that'll help them sleep better? And then what's one small doable step that they can take to start rebuilding, even if they're still in the process?
I will say, one, do it. Talk to somebody. Ask yourself, what is this decision going to do for me in the future? Is it going to help? Is it going to hinder it? If you honestly don't know that the answer to that question, that's the first thing that you need to start looking into. Asking those questions, what you don't understand and what you're not familiar with, get acquainted, because you will eliminate a lot of that anxiety, a lot of that stress if you understand. A lot of the things that we fear is just understanding. The fear of the unknown. I don't know what this looks like or what this is, but just get in a position where you get comfortable with somebody that can support you, answer your questions, so that you actually fulfill this journey and do it with the confidence. Even if that means that you have to connect with me or connect with Coach B, and we go through this with you. It doesn't always mean that we're guiding you because you have to listen to your attorneys. But if you need that emotional support, we can't be perfect in an imperfect world. Stop trying to be. And I think that's what we have to focus on, because we want the perception of perfect, but this world's not perfect. So don't try to be. If you need to fix it, so that you can actually start over and have a breath of fresh air. What did Coach B tell us to do at the beginning of this session? She said, breathe in and breathe out. Now imagine what that feels like in your finances as well. Don't you need that breath?
Ooh,
Then go do it. Because when she told you to take a breath at the beginning of this session, you did it. So now we're telling you to go take that breath and go talk to someone to figure out if this really is what you need.
yes, I love that. Talk to someone. You don't have to know the answers. You just need to know someone who can help you navigate your options so that you can make a strong decision.
Yeah.
Just if I can think of like a first step is to find somebody who can help you navigate that. Um, man, Talisha, this was so freaking powerful, guys. If y'all got gems tonight, I would love for y'all to put y'all favorite gem in here in the comments. Tell us what helped you out the most, what you want to remember, what you want to make sure that you. The reason why I want you to put it in the comments is so you can find it later. Okay, put it in the comments so you can come back to this live and find that information that you need where you heard it from. Talisha, I want them to know how to find you because some people are like, okay, I see her face, but how do I? Where do I go?
Yeah.
Where do you go at t.Talisha? Where can I find you?
You can find me on Instagram. This at t.Chonece, which is the spelling is of course on the screen. Or Talisha Chonece on Facebook, which would be TALISHA. Shanice is spelled on the screen as well. Come with us. We also have a Facebook group which is called the Legacy Group, where I teach you how to build and repair your credit. So if you're not in a position where bankruptcy is where you feel like you need to go right now, and you feel that you can sit, get that knowledge to learn how to do it yourself, I do have a community that can help you understand the basics and the foundation so that you can get back on track.
I love that, guys. I don't want y'all to miss tomorrow night, okay? Because tomorrow, I'm so sad. We are wrapping the series with session 3, and we're talking about unfuckwittable credit confidence, okay? How to build a credit score that opens up doors for jobs, for housing, for lower insurance rates, and peace of mind, and wealth building, bitch. Wealth building, because you know how I
Well,
feel about that, okay? Um, we're talking about healthy credit habits, boundaries with family, monitoring, protection, the types of accounts that you can open up to rebuild or build from scratch if you're young, how to leverage credit instead of fearing it. Okay. I believe in how to leverage credit instead of using it to consume, using it to create. Okay. Money. Okay. Set your alarm for Thursday at 5 o'clock. Clock out of those businesses and clock back into your own life. Bring a notebook. Did y'all see tonight? Because y'all should have had to write down at least 2 things tonight. You should have had to write down the 2 apps she told y'all, which was Ava and Grow Credit at a minimum. Last night you had to write down so much stuff. I don't even what to tell you. Go back and watch. I mean, not last night. Monday's live, right? I want you to get ready to step into your CEO of the credit era, okay? Bankruptcy might have been your reset, but credit confidence, that's your comeback. And I love that for you guys. So now, before we close tonight, I just want to say this. I hate, if y'all on my personal page, my personal Facebook page, you know, it kills me to have to agree with Dame Dash on anything, okay? I don't usually quote Dame Dash because he's an asshole. And his ego walks into the room 5 minutes before he does. He grinds my gears, and it's his ego that got him where he is. But however, he was on a Breakfast Club about a month ago, and he did say something that was technically true. He said that rich people file bankruptcy all the time. And in fact, Talisha, you said this a little bit earlier. He was basically talking about rich people using it as a tool, not as a life sentence. And it is a fact. Even a broken clock is right twice. So I got to give them his credit because that part was true. Okay. He wasn't wrong when he said that wealthy people use bankruptcy as a tool, but they don't abuse it. They use it. The difference is they don't see it as a failure. They don't use it and abuse it. They use it as a strategy. They learn what they need to learn, and they do their best not to F that up again. They don't get stuck in shame. They move in structure. And so I want to run through a few names you probably didn't realize wore the same t-shirt label, bankrupt and rebuilt. Robert Kiyosaki, Mr. Rich Dad Poor Dad himself, filed bankruptcy when one of those businesses tanked. Still turned that lesson into a global brand teaching financial freedom. Dave Ramsey, the king of debt-free gospel, filed personal bankruptcy in his 20s. Everything he teaches now came from rebuilding after he lost everything. Walt Disney. Walt. Yes, that Walt. Okay? He lost his first studio in bankruptcy before Mickey ever existed. Yes. The Mouse House started with the man who went bankrupt chasing his very first animation dream. Milton Hershey lost everything before starting the chocolate company that made all our childhood sweeter. Henry Ford went bankrupt before launching Ford Motor Company and literally built America's car industry. Toni Braxton filed twice, and she's still selling out tours. Okay, so let's be clear. Bankruptcy is not just for broke folks. It's for bold folks.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are willing to face the facts, reset the plan, and rebuild smarter. The wealthy don't let shame stop them. They let it shape them. And if you're watching this tonight and feeling like you hit rock bottom, I want you to remember this. Bankruptcy does not have to be your ending. It can be your evolution, because rock bottom can be the floor or the foundation. The decision is up to you. And that's the energy I want you to carry into tomorrow night, because we're wrapping up this Unfuckwittable Credit series with something powerful. We're talking about credit confidence. So whether you are rebuilt, reset, or you're just getting started, I'm going to show you, Talisha is going to show you how to use credit like a tool, not a trap, which is what we've been doing most of the time. So my 9-to-5ers, again, what we going to do, clock out and then clock back in. 5 p.m., same place, same energy. Come ready to become financially unfuckwittable. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.